All right, we're going to continue some of this. Maybe we'll get through it all, maybe not. Try to. I didn't really feel like I had time to do it, but I said I would. I did want to. I thought we were getting to a point where maybe Qnntkka is going to talk about what he thinks some of the solutions can be. So it doesn't mean that it's not a troll war, of course. It's pretty much established how he wants to do it, but maybe it's for the Thunderdome aspect. Because I don't, it's kind of funny because he's been trying to ride me on things and yet doesn't seem particularly mean spirited or anything. So, I mean, you know, that's fine. I'll just be like, okay, so you don't want to be diplomatic and say, hey, I think you were misled. You just want me to say you're a sucker. So, okay, we're not talking about being a sucker right now. I'm going to make another video probably about that. This is about how can we handle this issue of free speech and censorship in a, private public hybrid like the internet or like our whole society, really. Our public spaces where we say that you can't be racist in who you let in is on private spaces, but they can say, hey, no shoes and you can't come in, but so it's a hybrid in all cases. Okay, let's go.
After video games, and you say, well, the feminists are trying to take your video games away. Whether you realize it or not, that is patently a lie, right?
No, it's not a lie if I don't realize it, okay? I haven't seen the evidence of that you guys say that's what they really want. I've seen some hints too that they think there should be regulation or something, but mostly like when we're talking about the subset that I've been involved in, like Qnntkka Iii, it's more like she's calling gamers idiots. Stop doing it. Here's what it's reinforcing. I mean, I haven't seen, of course, some people do want to restrict all kinds of media. Right, but not as a whole group. Not all feminists are pushing for that. So some feminists do, and then, yes, but talk about that specific person, and it wouldn't change the fact that I'm not advocating for
that. That is what she's trying to do. Agent of Doubt just did a video where he was talking to, or response to Kazumi, and he was talking about the a point that I agree with Kazumi on, which we won't agree on many points, but this is what I agree on. And he was saying that, and Qnntkka Iii, Kazumi said that people who critique or judge video games should be people who like video games to begin with. I totally agree with that. Now, Agent of Doubt.
But that's not really, that makes no sense. If that's the way we did it, then everything would just get praised. Why? Because only their own fans would talk about it. How is that a balanced view of things? No, everybody should be able to talk about everything. And yes, if you don't play video games, then that's different than if you do. And if you misrepresent what the games are like, that's important. And if she's been criticized on that, and I could see some of that. People have shown, stuff in games that she ignored.
Out does not see it that way, and he sees Qnntkka Iii as someone who's just feeding the trolls, who's or not feeding the trolls. She's I guess feeding the trolls. He sees her as using this platform to aggravate people so that they will threaten her, that they will see her, that she will be a big thing.
Yes, I've been saying that the whole time. Your side of this and Thunderfoot and whatnot, that's what propelled her to the fucking UN. Yes, she's been trolling you. And I was surprised that the low watt things she was saying were so objectionable that, but obviously when she says, hey, look how rude people are to women, and then you go, we are not rude, rape this bitch. Yeah. Then to the outside party, you guys are always talking about how it looks to the world and what's popular and what's getting on. I think that's a problem. I thought you were talking, right? I would have sworn that yesterday when I stopped, you were talking about how the carrier concept should be used or modified and used or something you were going to say like that, but maybe that was a false anticipation.
Okay, that's half right, but that's not the main thing. She is pushing an agenda. She is hired by someone else. That John McIntosh, is also hired by Microsoft. And we get into all these conspiracy things, but it comes back down to the idea of free speech and who's going to control the internet and who's going to control people. And the thing that I see so bad about the social justice warrior thing, and you did say that I told you were not a social justice warrior, Piero, and you argued with me tooth and nail saying, yes, you are.
Yeah, because as I said, people were calling me that. And if I say, hey, there is a concept space here about concepts and ideas about what it might mean, the word rape culture or patriarchy or the situation, and patriarchy is really like the feminist angled word on the folk wisdom of the strict father family and traditionalism. It's really could be you could just talk about traditionalism as well. And I get called cuck and SJW, and I'm not going to run from it. And it's the same thing with liberal. I always thought of myself as a libertarian, but I'm not an anti-tax libertarian. I'm a progressive, so progressive libertarian, right? I want to make progress, um, and there's a lot of things that could be considered. We debate what is considered progress, and one insight into what I think is progress is that people should have more and more liberty, like actual measurable liberty, like they can go all over the world and they can switch jobs and they have freedom to do actual things, right? So, but I wasn't going to run from the word liberal just because people like Rush Limbaugh are going to try to make it a bad word. Fact is, if I support national health care and et cetera, like you, I mean, calling you a liberal is putting you buttonholing you, and yet you were a Kucinich supporter, so obviously could be categorized that way. But does that mean you don't end up voting for Trump, and that back then you might not have had the similar sympathies, but Trump, wasn't running or whatever, right? People are unique. Their politics is unique. Okay, but I'm not going to run from a word like liberal when there's all these issues, and when people think of you as a liberal, they're not getting your essence at all. But if you happen to be for like pro-immigration, anti-war, you know, anti-exploitation of workers, pro-worker right, these things make you liberal. But I don't get there from the same route as other people that end up being accurately labeled as liberal because the liberal issues that they support. And it's the same thing with SJW. They forced that out as a casting aspersions. It got cast on me, and I'm not running from it because I like social justice. Okay, and I'm not even running from the word cuck. I think it's revealing that people are using it. I think it's hysterical.
Yes, you are. So I only call you that because you accept that. Now, the day
Yeah.
when you say I am not a social justice warrior,
That doesn't mean that all social justice warriors believe exactly the same thing. That's the premise you haven't proven.
I'll be like, I'll be applauding you, right? I will say, okay, good. Now we can start working on this up.
Well, I already said that I prefer to be called a social justice peace activist
Because it is a pejorative term, and it is what.
because war is the source. Sorry to interrupt you again so quick, but I know I'm basically ignoring a few seconds when I do that, but just had another thought. Um, I am for social justice, but I think war is the root of injustice.
What Anita Sarkeesian is, and people like her, Randy Harper, all these people
Stupid
who
metaphor.
want to control what other people do. They want to micromanage what other people do. And they don't want to do this because they're necessarily evil people or anything like that. There's money in it. There's a lot of money in it in this.
Right, and I don't believe in evil, but I think it is inherently bad and controlling and narcissistic or psychopathic or something negative and has to do with their psychology. But the thing is, that is not something limited to the left or the right or any group. Every group of opinion has those that would impose it with a sword. Every group, that's my belief. Every group has the people that aren't satisfied just saying this isn't good and here's why and I'm trying to convince you, but we're going to force you and train and indoctrinate. There's totalitarians and there's libertarians. And libertarians believe all kinds of different things about what we should cooperate on, what the general welfare, what that term means and stuff. And the totalitarians also disagree on those things. And the totalitarians and the dogmatists can go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned. But just because they're totalitarians and among people that you would label from outside social justice warriors doesn't mean that I'm going to run away from the concept of social justice. I mean, I can't believe that you don't understand this kind of thing, like with Rush decades ago starting this feminazi thing. Well, you're not a feminazi, Piero. This is the other kind that we're talking about. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm against that kind. And how did that work out for me, for feminism? No, what they do is that if you acknowledge that some people are like Nazi type dogmatists and happen to be feminists in their rhetoric, and you join and say that's wrong, do they go, oh, look, some feminists are good? Yeah, we're just talking about the bad feminists. No, they use it to say all feminists are that way. And social justice warrior is the exact same thing. Anybody that talks about social justice is just virtue signaling and blah 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 blah. Well, I'm not going to run away because you create a word and say that word is bad, so you don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't give a fuck. I will be near. I'll be right in the center of it. I don't care. And if you're then going to go, well, then I get to pretend your positions are different than I know your positions are because you said you were a social justice warrior, and it means your positions were these other ones, but you know my positions are not that. They're this thing, and you're like, yeah, but you've agreed to a label that means this, so I can say you are that, and that's gonna make you not say that anymore. No, there is no coherent definition of social justice warrior. It's an insult put at a whole class of people, and that class of people, frankly, does include me. Objectively, not because you say so, or you say it's not true, or I say so, or I say it's not true, but because when I reply in comment threads, people call me that. Not so much lately, but when it started to take off. And in general, what it is now is you're called cuck. The same people are calling you cuck. So should I run from that? I don't give a fuck. I'm not afraid of words. And if somebody wants to say, yeah, but if you don't run from that word, I get to pretend you have opinions you don't have, then yes, you are able in the world, you in particular, but really I was thinking generally, people are able to delude themselves about what other people think. If they really decide to do that, I can't stop them, and I'm really not going to do anything to stop them. You want to pretend I have opinions I don't have because I won't reject this SJW label. That's on you. You do whatever you want. If pretending, that an unreality is real, if you think that's going to work out good for you, maybe it will. I don't care. My desire to accurately understand other people's positions and my own positions uh, is unaffected by people that want to do something different and pretend people's positions are different than what they know they are as some sort of a manipulative pressure. I'm not actually here manipulating people and trying to pressure them into my ideas. I just say what I think about them, and what convinced me generally is what I focus. Here's what's convinced me: thorium is a great, could save us, save our energy future. Here's what convinced me that immigration is a good thing. I don't care whether they're popular or been heard of. If anything, I'm probably going for those that haven't been heard of yet because I think there's solutions right out there that we just need to look at. I'm taking too much time. It's fucking 2 minutes in. Okay.
Control. And they are hired by other people who make money with this. So,
True.
so getting back to Kazoom's point.
Well, I mean, true that happens. And I've heard that about Anita, and she certainly seems like a polished, a money and notoriety machine. Doesn't mean she doesn't truly believe in feminism, whatever she thinks feminism is, that she's doing it for that. I don't know. But yeah, there's a money making aspect, obviously. Um,
Yeah, if you're a
there's money making aspects to people who just wish they could make money and have never pulled it off yet as well. I'm just a side note because, this is why, I don't know, should I monetize my videos and try to make some money? Should I turn on, say hello to Super Chat? I mean, I have nothing against making money on YouTube and people that do in one sense, but I don't do it because I don't really want to have to deal with that influence or worry about that aspect of a video. It's not why I'm doing it. I've committed to making my living in other ways. Not that I wouldn't make them related to this. I mean, I'd love to full time make a debate website. If somebody wants to start a Kickstarter, I could for sure build the thing and find other people that were competent to build it. But that's not what my channel is, right? I don't want to put my channel through that.
if I gave a car review and I just hated cars, right? I'm like, all I know about cars is they break down. I'm not good with the wrench. I don't study any of the the years they come out, who makes them, the designs, whatever. But I'm going to critique them. Okay, that should tell people when they find out that I don't like cars, I'm not into cars, that I'm no expert at it.
Okay, But what about my case? I am a big gamer. I like board games, all kinds of games. I played games. I worked in the game industry. I knew all these classic era of games. And I don't really like games as much now because, well, the graphics are better, Moore's Law. They're not as creative as back when we got Dig Dug and Pac-Man and Tetris and Centipede and what was that one where you spun the wheel? Tempest. And so I don't like video games because they've changed. I'd like to see the cool 3D versions of all those old creative games. Am I allowed to have an opinion?
And that should tell people that Anita is no expert on video games. And
I mean, I went to the game developers conference like 6 times while working in the game industry. But maybe I'm past it. I think games are not as good right now. There's of course great examples of individual stuff, but I mean, as a general tendency. So, can I have an opinion?
she doesn't have an appreciation for it. And you can't judge art, you can't judge games, you can't judge any field of expertise or ability unless you have some appreciation for it. And so
I think you can. You're just not doing it. You're not part of the game press that writes for people that love games. You're part of a critical press. I mean, you can review novels and hate novels. That's okay. That can be done, and that would be okay and interesting and recommendable. And people reading these reviews, probably care what the person's attitude, where it's coming from. I mean, Anita, now, I don't follow all Anita's stuff, just this tropes thing. She doesn't come across as trying to say, I'm a gamer. This is what a gamer's attitude should be. She comes off as, look, I'm an outsider now. I know she's claimed that she's a gamer girl, and that seems a little bit bullshit. But she's interested enough in games, to want to do this with her time. And she comes across as an outsider going, here's a feminist view on these games you play. Like, you're all blinded because you enjoy them, but here's what's really going on in your psyche, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying she's right, though I think it's ridiculous, the reaction to her. I mean, there is such a thing as tropes. There's a lot of the aspects of what she's talking about. People act like, there's nothing there to this critique. There is no cultural residue in our games. Of course there is, and we should debate what it is, not act like it's crazy. She doesn't play games, so why should she shut up? No, nobody needs to shut the fuck up, expert or not, on anything. And when they aren't expert, then yeah, you can go, well, that's not a very expert opinion. Yeah, but they still can make it, right?
so okay, so this gets back to the freedom of speech and who's limiting it and why are they limiting it, right?
Right,
Well, I
right.
do see that as a marketing issue. Anita Sarkeesian is just marketing herself, and she's hired by somebody else to do that. But this is to reel in control so that the money that Hollywood's lost on YouTube, the money that movie makers lose, all this other stuff, somehow they can gain this. You've got this big, big, big industry, and one of them too is the music industry that just kind of went down when CDs would, as soon as people could rip CDs and all this other stuff, there was all these issues of piracy and all this other stuff. Okay, well, there's money to be made out there, and any 13-year-old with a computer can make their own show or make their own music or whatever. And this is scary. This puts a lot of people out of work, right? Well, what these corporations want to do is they want to take that away from you, right? It's too late to take it all away. It'll cause a societal upheaval to do that. But they
See, just as a side thing, if you think Trump is going to limit the power of these corporations to do such things, I think he misled you. You've been misled.
will try to squeeze every penny out of you that they can. So okay, so now I'm rambling. I'm
We agree. This is your socialist liberal side, economic justice warrior.
I kind of came off the point here, talking like a crazy person.
I don't think so.
So let's
It was a tangent, but it was, a tangent to the circles.
hear what you got.
That I disagree with. I don't censor them. I try to engage with them. Too much. On and on, talking to someone like you who's going to tell me what I believe. I just spent all this time explaining to you and how you get the wrong end of the stick right off the bat because you're assuming I'm fine with Twitter banning Milo because you just assume, of course, I feel that way. I said I was SJW. That's the view an SJW has to have, so I must be lying. No.
Oh, okay. Back to the Milo issue. I don't remember ever saying, and you could correct me on this. I could be wrong, right? But I don't remember specifically saying that you were for Milo getting banned.
You didn't specifically. What you said is Barklord and I were like, yeah, private companies are shit at, not legislating, but enforcing the morality. And you said, "Oh, unless it's against people you disagree with," which I thought was pretty obvious. That isn't what I was saying. No, including the people I disagree with, and I pretty much am here looking for people I disagree with. So I think the evidence that I'm not just making that up or lying, it's like I actually spend my time talking with people that disagree with me. And I wish there was more of that, but they took away the reply feature at YouTube. So, we've all known each other for years now, pretty much since that happened. It's hard for new people to enter into the cycle, and it's dying. And we need another way to promote this thing.
Maybe I did say that.
And I don't mean promote it so it's popular. I mean just so new people and young people and old people that have started doing this can find these debates that we do.
And I think I've laid out the reasons why I do not support Milo now, but I supported him in the past. And you did tell me that Milo was just a troll.
But supporting Milo, obviously, I don't support Milo. I guess, look, I should say it. I'm assuming you don't think he should have been censored off Twitter. Not that that's not because you would support Milo that you support his free speech. Supporting free speech is like when the ACLU supports, the KKK having a march or the Nazis having a march or something, right? It's when you disagree with the speech that we really find out if it's free speech. So I've been assuming that, but I do remember that, you were affected by the particular nature of, Milo's comments. And yeah, he's a professional troll, so he's going to find that place that is ultimately actually objectionable, because that's what he actually turns out to do. It's easiest to notice when he offends one's own sensibilities.
I'm not sure that I agree with that, but I do entertain and respect that opinion. Okay, but as far as supporting the feminists that you support, as far as the people that you
like Malala, right? I've said people bitch about supporting Anita Sarkeesian. Not really. I've just sort of called her mediocre. So Mother Jones, Malala.
You denounce on there, you have this very clear thing in your mind of who's a feminist and who's an anti-feminist.
Do I? I have a very clear idea of that.
And I see you defending people like Christy Winters, which I do not understand that.
When you see me defending Christy Winters, well, I would like you to show that happening, because I think you get the ass end of a backward stick sometimes. And you assume this is like another thing where you maybe are just going, well, you're an SJW. SJWs support Christy Winters. I don't think I ever supported Christy Winters. Right? What's that word you use? A lie. That sounds like a lie. Or just you're deluded. Prove that. Because I barely know who Christy Winters was. She was maybe the one that tried to get Thunderfoot fired. Was she? No. Laughing Witch. I mean, I remember she's one of these people. I mean, and I support her. I don't think so, dude.
If you could explain what she does, that's.
So you seem to have this sort of a socially oriented of what people, like you're going to judge me what people I support, who's my friends with, and what's the social network. And I'm a nerd geek. I don't give a fuck. I'm not very much connected social networks. I have friends and we do things, and I have relationships. But I don't really define myself or my opinions by that. I can have a mother who's conservative, for example. It doesn't mean I'm conservative.
So valuable or contributes anything to feminism at all, I'd like to hear it. As far as the idea of patriarchy and rape culture and all this other stuff, I think these are just memes, just concepts that we kind of throw in there that confuses things, right? I do stand by what I had said to you before, that I believe that we are in an exploitation society. And I think that's part of nature in general. You survive by exploiting the weakness of others. It doesn't matter who you are. That's how you survive. That's how everything survives, right? Now, once you get into societal structures, you do have to have some type of hierarchy. I know that you probably think of that as a patriarchy, And you probably think of that as an evil thing or a bad thing, but it has to exist to keep people from being animals. If
Yeah, I disagree with that. I know that's one solution to keeping people from being animals, but it hasn't been working very well so far. People are pretty brutal. So I don't think the traditionalisms have proved that they work. Um, we are in an exploitation society, and this is where our politics would potentially overlap.
people were just totally equal, could do whatever they want, had no consequences at all, then we would just be going strictly off the laws of nature as opposed to this kind of metaphysical nature that humankind has created for itself.
See, what I take from what you're saying, though, is that, okay, it needs some kind of system like that, some hierarchical control system. Well, then you can't try to stop the other kind of SJW from trying to make it a matriarchy. I mean, you have to have some top down, and if they want to be at the top for a while, that sounds pretty natural reaction. I don't believe that. I believe we can do away with those and have a distributocracy. And this is just going to take so long. I had to work today. It's about midnight. I want to go through it all. See how slow I'm doing it. I think my mood is just not. And maybe I should just listen to the remaining half hour and take some notes because this is take forever. Well, I'm definitely going to take a break now, pick it up later, or I can't promise that I'll pick it up, but I will watch it for sure. I'll make sure I watch it. So it's in my. Because we're just starting to get somewhere. I mean, we're still having the full disagreement, right? We're not agreeing, but at least there's a baseline that we're talking about these things in terms of like, social oppression. And I would just summarize all of this part of, I don't like dogmatists. I don't like dogmatism. I don't like totalitarians. I don't like free speech censorers or whatever. I think the private sector, not everybody, but certain kinds of companies, and again, I just think it could be done by that company decides. Not that it's a bread bakery or not, but they decide you want to be a carrier, boom, you get a certain kind of immunity, but you got to carry everybody's speech. You don't want to carry everybody's speech, fine. You're going to moderate the speech in your public, establishment. You're open to the public establishment. You're going to modify what people can say on their cakes, fine. Then you're liable for it, and it seems like totally fair. So I probably won't make the other video too. Maybe I'll just say this. So Qnntkka, in terms of explaining why I think you and all the Trump voters are suckers, you should watch this clip of Bill Maher just made from last week about how he's a con man. It seems like a con man to us. And you don't have to agree, but at least you might get an idea of why we think that somebody that promises everything to everybody really quick and it's terrific and it'll be free and everybody will have it. Or not free, but it'll be cheaper and everybody will cover everybody. It'll be fantastic. We'll do it right away. Why that sounds like a con man's spiel to us. And that's why we think, oh, you guys look like suckers for buying it. So, and I do understand why you think I'm a sucker for believing the stuff that allowed me to vote for Hillary Clinton. I get that. I understand how you could possibly think that. But from my point of view, it's not like that. I don't really have a lot of trust for her. I just think that, you can compare two criminals and decide one's less dangerous for you. All right, cheers.